As Warren Buffett says, you got to be greedy when others are fearful. It seems like now people are starting to get a little fearful. Not as fearful as they would have been 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, if we had the 100 to 240,000 possible projected deaths, if we had the 6 million jobs lost in a week, we would have been down, limit down, maybe second limit down. It would have been very scary, and the market would have aggressively sold off. But instead, we got that 100 to $240,000 or 240,000 possible deaths, and we sold off about 3.5%. And then the next day, we got some of those losses back, even though we had worse than expected job claims. So again, this tells me we're at close to some sort of bottom. It might not be the technical bottom. It might not be the absolute min. It might be just kind of a bottom range. Now, that said, that's subject to change. If we have to push back the April 30th turning on the economy date, that's going to change things. But right now, it seems like the market has factored in a whole lot. We're down about 30%. We know the economic numbers are going to be bad. We know that 100,000 to 240,000 people might die, and that's from the White House. So that isn't some, whisper number projection. That's the White House. That's the top doctors hired by the White House coming up with those projections. But back to my original point. We got to be greedy when others are fearful. And today was a day that had all the signs of fear. Yesterday we had a little bit of a bounce. A lot of people probably thought we shouldn't have had a bounce. And generally, it seems like on Fridays with coronavirus, people are more likely to sell than to buy. People don't want to be long into the weekend because the weekend is a couple days where some news can come out and they can't sell their positions if they're freaking out. So we should be buying on days like this, not taking a whole lot, not filling out an entire position, but nibbling on the way down. The same advice that's been going on for the past couple of weeks, it's staying the same. Be greedy when others are fearful and nibble on the way down. So we might be down on Monday next week. We might be, here and there, all around. We might bounce. It seems to me like we're in a plus minus 5% range. We're kind of in this tunnel. Close to the bottom, on March 19th, my video then, when I was in that robe, I said we're at the bottom. Then obviously Friday and Monday, 2 huge days down, and we haven't gotten back to those levels. So that was my gut telling me that. I was like, what am I going to talk about today? My gut was like, it's the bottom. I think that's held up pretty solidly until now, even though a whole lot of negative news has come out since I made that bottom call. So I'm trusting my gut, and my gut is telling me to keep buying and keep nibbling on the way down. It's also telling me that there's possibilities that might lead to possible downturns. I'd say if in the worst case scenario, we could be lower, 20% lower from where we are now. Now, I think that's the less likely outcome. I don't think that's going to happen. That would require something that involves pushing back the April 30th turning on the economy day. But it's possible that's going to happen. Dallas just announced that they're on a shutdown order until May 20th. That's pretty negative news. That could possibly extend to other areas of the country. Now, Dallas hasn't really been hit super hard, 800 cases. And Cuomo's coming out and saying, we're going to hit the apex in 21 days. So there's a big range of when things are getting under control and happening throughout the country. Some areas are experiencing it later, which means they're going to experience their peak later. And New York hit it pretty early, so hopefully they'll hit their peak rather early. But just to put things in perspective, Dallas is apparently on shutdown until late May. Turning on the country is factored into the market at April 30th. If that gets pushed back, that changes things. So nibble on the way down. Don't be afraid to buy. But if you're buying, you need to have a long-term time horizon, and you need to be able to stomach some chop and some possible downturn. I'm nibbling, I'm buying, but I'm buying understanding that I might be down in the next couple weeks, but my time horizon is longer than the next couple weeks. So if yours is too, you should be buying. Not taking huge chunks, nibbling on the way down. And if it's down more in that same stock next week, don't sell. This is not a time to sell. This is a time to buy. So be nibbling. Have cash. I've been saying have about 20% cash. Don't put it all to work in one day. Treat it like gold, like diamonds, but put it to work. So until Monday, have a good weekend. Peace.